What's your Bitcoin birthday? In other words, what was that aha moment that made you want to learn more about Bitcoin? Dee Duncan, an American who has spent a lot of time in many of the countries in Africa, says it's when he bought some and he sort of forgot about it. Then, a while later, he saw how significantly it had increased in value. He immediately saw how this could change the lives of so many marginalized people around the world, and not just in Africa. As he puts it, that's when he knew he wanted to go all in on cryptocurrencies. Some people say Bitcoin is a store of value and Ethereum and some of the other altcoins are a medium of exchange. Will Bitcoin go the way of payments? Is that what will elicit the mass adoption that Bitcoiners have been dreaming about? Well, I don't know, but we're going to ask Dee Duncan on this episode of So What About Crypto?
So what about crypto?
So what about crypto?
This show could not happen without our sponsor, Multo Marketing and Productions. Not only do they sponsor, they actually produce, distribute, and promote this podcast. Multo is a full-service ad agency with a global roster of creative talent to handle any size project. I chose them to produce the upcoming video series we've been shooting because I have to focus completely on the story. I needed a team that could handle every part of the production, like shooting, editing, even travel arrangements. This team did it all. And since they're also a full-service ad agency, they handle all of our social media as well. They even have partnerships with all the greatest publishers and media outlets in the crypto and blockchain space, so they can help you too. Check out Multo Marketing and Productions at multomarketing.com. That's MOLTO marketing.com. All right, I'm looking forward to this interview. Billy, I have to say, if you guys are watching the live stream right now,
Hey.
Bill is this close to a family getaway on the lake, right?
We've got a little piece of land that we share with family on a creek that we really enjoy, and it's been in the family for probably over 100 years. And so, yeah, it's just a nice getaway for the family, place to gather. So after this recording, we're heading out of town for a few days to, just kind of relax on the creek bank and drink a few beers and enjoy the kids.
Yeah. How do you say it down there in Georgia?
Say what?
The creek?
No, we don't say the creek. No, that's creek. We say creek. Where is that? I think I've heard a lot of people in Tennessee when I lived there years ago, they would say crick a lot, but no, we're creek people.
Yeah, I say creek. I'm half Texan. My dad's from Austin, born and raised. My mom's from Los Angeles. I'm a weird mix.
That's for sure.
You can vouch for that. So you and I have talked a lot over the last couple of years about how blockchain and Bitcoin and digital currencies affect people in different ways. They see the uses of it depending on how marginalized they are, right? Some more developed countries or countries like ours see it as a convenience maybe to use in the medical industry, the agriculture industry, that type of thing. But in other countries, it's really, there's a bigger meaning to it, and freedom is attached.
Freedom for sure. I mean, I don't think you and I even really understand it that well as far as what that can really mean for people in other countries. I think we imagine it, but I think I've seen a lot in the industry where people talk about what it can do for other people in other parts of the world, and maybe we don't even really comprehend it. And I think we're gonna find out. I think as currencies are beginning to fail, more rapidly, and we can see that more rapidly, then I think we'll really start to understand it. And I think we just can't possibly relate. We've grown up in a world where we're banked, so to speak, and we have different ideas on, me, I'm all into privacy and anonymity, but, But think about a podcast we recently had with a gentleman from India, Ashish Singhal, and he mentioned that people in India, they want to be known. They're living in a world where privacy and anonymity are, they're already anonymous because they're just sort of, marginalized. So we just, I think, probably can't even comprehend what the use of cryptocurrency can mean to people in other parts of the world. I'm anxious to find out, and I know you are too. But.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think in different parts of the world, anonymity means different things. To us, it means we want our privacy. We're entitled to our privacy. But I think in other countries, like you said, where people are marginalized, it means invisible. And they don't want to be invisible anymore. They want to be part of the global economy. They want to be part of their own economy and communities. Right. So, it means different things to be anonymous. But to us, because we have freedom here in America, it definitely means something different to us. So, sure, Billy, why don't you bring in our next guest?
Well, here's the thing. I've been thinking about this, Elsa. Everybody wants to know, people say, well, who's the CEO of Bitcoin? But, as most of you probably know, there is no CEO of Bitcoin, but apparently there's a king of Bitcoin because we've got the BTC King on today.
We have the king with us right now.
Y'all really gonna get me in trouble, man.
This is Dee Duncan, right?
Yes, sir.
AKA Dee Duncan.
Yeah, Dee. It's BTC King, AKA Dee Duncan. Dee, I want to thank you so much for joining us on our podcast. And as you know, I don't know if before you and I have talked before, just to get to know each other a little bit, when we first met on crypto Twitter, but we talked about getting people all over the world to use this technology in the way they see fit. But you and I were extremely excited and passionate about one continent and the countries in particular, and that was Africa. We really talked about what's going on in Africa, not just giving the people financial power and the ability to bank and all of that, but companies from all over the world that are in blockchain and this space are seeing the enormous potential that the people in Africa and the countries in Africa can add to the global economy.
Right. Yeah. It's an interesting segue because unlike a lot of people, I did not find out about cryptocurrency or Bitcoin here in America. I was in Mali, West Africa, in Bamako, when I found out about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. So, I spent a lot of time traveling to that part of the world in West Africa, and I see firsthand the need for a new digital currency. Mostly because when you're dealing in West Africa, mostly in the French-speaking regions of West Africa, we're talking Guinea, we're talking Senegal, we're talking Mali, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, those areas, their currency is highly debased, similar to what you see in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. And so, they need something that is more viable, more stable. And a lot of those nations now are calling for a digital form of currency.
But there was, you and I had a conversation about what really struck you when you initially had that aha moment that Bill and I have talked about many times. Bill has referred to it in the past as Bitcoin birthdays. When was your Bitcoin birthday? I kind of see it as like your aha moment, whatever, however you describe it. You had that kind of epiphany where it all made sense to you. Tell everybody about that.
Well, shortly after my trip to West Africa and Mali, a friend of mine, I told him, I promised him, hey, when we leave off of this trip, because we were there for a different reason. And so when I leave off of this trip, make sure that we connect and you help me set up my Bitcoin wallet. And so that aha moment happened when I gave $500 to him, and he helped me set up a Bitcoin wallet with mycelium at the time. And I didn't even pay attention to the crypto, to the Bitcoin. I just let it sit for like 6 months. Didn't check it every day, didn't do anything. I turned around and I looked, and this was like end of 2015 going into 2016. I turned around to look, and that little $500 had done some numbers. And I was like, oh, this is freedom right here. Like, this really has a chance to change a lot of people's lives. And so that was my aha moment, because you have a currency that is literally portable to virtually any nation on earth. And it has the price volatility of a market. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm all the way in.
Right. I mean, it's hard to ignore that. But that's also, the volatility is also one of the things that people become afraid of too. But
sure, sure.
It's you bet big, you win big, and vice versa. But it doesn't. The thing about Bitcoin and some of the alternative coins, or altcoins, as people call them, are, you are taking a chance, but it's a different kind of chance than stocks. Would you agree with that? And how is it different for people investing this way versus a traditional stock market?
Great question. My understanding and my opinion is that with cryptocurrencies, when you purchase them, you literally own those cryptocurrencies, right? In most cases, nobody can freeze your account. Nobody can't tell you where and who you can send those to. Versus when you're dealing with traditional markets, they can absolutely freeze your account. They can absolutely restrict who has access to those types of things. And so, that kind of caters to the marginalization of a lot of people that may not have access to the financial system. And so I see that crypto and blockchain technology, in a right way, used in a right way, can be an extension of the traditional financial system and markets.
Well, there's a couple of ways people feel strongly about how it should be used. There are people who say Bitcoin should be, a store of value, and there are others who say, well, you need to spend it to make it work and be valuable. There are a couple of different ways to look at it, but it's not always so easy spending digital currencies if you have them, because there's not a lot of payment systems that would allow you to convert your native currency to that type of payment, and there aren't a lot of places that accept cryptocurrencies or digital currencies as a form of payment because they don't understand it yet, or don't know it yet, or don't see the need for it yet. But that's where you come in.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we've been blessed to see and be in this space for a while. And when you're in a space in its nascency, you can kind of tell when there are needs or demands for things to explode. And I believe that, Bitcoin should be used as a form of payment. It's literally a digital payment system. That, when you read the white paper of Satoshi, that is what it was set up to be. Granted, it does have that store value mechanism to it, but truly, it was designed, and cryptocurrencies were designed for payment, as a form of payment, as one of their core uses or use cases. And what we have done, BTC King has partnered with some of the biggest and brightest payments companies in the payments industry that are globally recognized. And I'm talking about companies like Pax Technologies, which we partner with to utilize their A920, Pax A920 device that allows for the XPOS software, which is a blockchain-based software that delivers cryptocurrency to merchants and retailers around the world. starting here in the United States, of course. And so having that partnership segued us to be able to land a partnership with WorldPay, which is the number one payment processor here in America that processes traditional payments in the form of debit and credit cards and contactless payments. And so we're also a proud member of the RSPA, which is the world's largest point of sales foundation and membership group and association, where the world leaders of payments converge and share ideas as to what is next in the payments industry. And we're working on some bigger and brighter partnerships as well that are about to roll out as well. So I believe that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies will go where payments go, right? Because these people are the gatekeepers of payments. You're talking about a $24 trillion a year industry, the payments industry in America, that relates to about between 2 and 5 trillion a year. And so we have a unique opportunity to see cryptocurrency explode in retail locations utilizing this technology.
So, okay, so you say that the U.S. accounts for 2 to 5 trillion a year in the payments industry. What do you see these payment systems doing for public opinion? Like when you have merchants that decide that they're going to give, like say WorldPay or Pundi X, which is another payment system. Am I correct in that? It's another form of using digital currency, crypto and fiat.
Sure. Yep.
What is the kind of feedback you get from people, businesses that implement these types of payment services, and how do you see the growth?
Great question. So our strategy for implementation is when we partner with the likes of WorldPay and others, we tap into their verticals, right? And get them to utilize the A920 as their point of sales machine. And the pitch on the merchant side of the house is by utilizing, the XPOS software that's created by Pundi X, is that you have an alternative contactless payment solution that is international, and it drives new customers into your store because people are also looking for ways to utilize cryptocurrency in the form of a payment. So that's one element. The other element is what's in it for the merchant and the retailer is that they're generating extra passive income by utilizing this technology in the form of every time someone comes in and makes a payment with it, or they're able to sell cryptocurrency to their audience or to their customer base, they're generating an additional revenue stream. So that is an eye-opening proposition for most retailers, medium, large, and small.
So the devices that we're looking at here on your website, they look like little cell phones to some degree, but they're not phones. They're really like little cash registers in a way, or square devices, or
correct. They're handheld point of sales devices. What you're looking at right now within the payments industry, there's a big shift towards Android-based point of sales hardware away from Microsoft, and the reason is because with Android, obviously, we all know that it's more customizable and it's easy to update. And so these are the latest models from all of those companies. You have Verifone there, you have Ingenico. Both of those models are slated to come out later. And right now we have the Pax A920, which is already ready, available for issuance and distribution. And so that is the wave of the future, is Android-based point of sales devices.
So the Pundi X platform, is that kind of like a Visa platform, but in other countries?
No, it's Pundi X is a blockchain software that is loaded on these devices. So it's literally an application that is loaded in this case, the Pax store. And we when we have new merchants that come on, we just push that application onto their device, and then they have access to 20 different cryptocurrencies that they can accept and sell right away.
And then it becomes like an on-ramp, off-ramp, so they can convert that into fiat.
Correct. Yes, because you have, the regular payment forms of Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, as well as contactless payment solutions, Google Pay, Apple Pay, and Samsung Pay already live on that device. So it's a very cool device and technology because it does it all. And it has more software than just payments. It has restaurant inventory. You can keep track of your stocks and manage everything that you would need to manage in a bar scenario, in a clothing environment, what have you. All of those apps are available on that particular piece of technology right there.
Okay, so aside from the obvious, which is it allows business owners to really open up the possibilities of accepting all forms of payment, native currency, cryptocurrency, digital currencies, credit cards, debit cards. But what's the bigger implication here? What else does this open up?
We're talking about real volume of payments, right? We're talking about scale of those payments, which we kind of see, but most of that, as you know, Elsa, and we kind of see most of that volume coming from crypto exchanges, right? So we have yet to see real usage of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies and as a payment mechanism that is viably tracked. What I love about Pundi X is Pundi X is finishing up their testnet Function X, which is the blockchain for the XPOS ecosystem. We will be the first payments company that has all of its payments data on a blockchain. This has never been done before. And so mainnet is going to be released soon.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but so are you saying they're going to be able to scale to handle that load of transactions? Because Bill and I have interviewed over the last couple of years a lot of people in the industry who are building. And I think the consensus is among almost all of them, if not all of them, is that no one has been able to scale yet to the degree of like Visa, MasterCard, all the credit cards to be able to handle, and the banks to be able to handle that many transactions. You say there's 2 to 5 trillion transactions, a year just in the U.S. alone. Multiply that on a global scale. It hasn't been done before, at least to my knowledge, on the blockchain.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of what Pundi X is working on with Function X blockchain is the TPS is really, really fast. I've been playing around with the testnet and things just, when you submit a transaction, it gets there. The TPS, the throughput, everything is really, really, really fast. So I don't see any issues with scalability. The devs are really working hard behind the scenes to make those things happen. And so to have that functionality, to have all of your payments data and all of your transactions on a blockchain, that's something that even, the big guys in payments have yet to succeed in doing. So these are very exciting times.
So all right, so if you're using Pundi X as the blockchain for this, or did I misunderstand that?
Nope, you got it right.
How do you get the finality of a Bitcoin transaction, get the speed that's necessary to then have that translate to a transactions per second at a level you're talking about? If people complain that, Bitcoin's slow at this stage because, it takes a while for blocks to be rewarded and validated and all of those things, how do you, is this a case where Pundi X has, or someone has a store of Bitcoin and then they settle that later? How does that work?
So with the XPOS software, the transaction is initiated via the XPOS. And then once it's confirmed, either we have these cards called XPass cards, or you can use the mobile app. Once the payment has been received by one of those issuant receiving mechanisms, the transaction is finalized sidechain, so it doesn't slow up what's happening in real time at the merchant's desk. And so everything is confirmed on the sidechain, which gives Bitcoin enough time, to settle and confirm with the 6 transactions that it needs.
So then that settles sort of after the fact on the Bitcoin blockchain. So how then are you able to validate that a person actually has the Bitcoin? If the
we give them the Bitcoin immediately, right? And Pundi X takes the risk, of the sidechain confirmation. Yeah.
I got it. All right.
So I'm sitting here as a business owner in America,
Sure.
and I'm seeing this, and I'm like, I've been kind of interested in learning more about Bitcoin and crypto and blockchain and all of that. But I'm a little afraid to implement this payment system because what kind of attention could that potentially draw from the government, taxes, IRS, that kind of thing? I mean,
Right.
you got to factor in all these things as a business owner, like
hackers.
Hackers. I mean, and what if you lose internet access, or you lose power, or you lose all of these things. I guess you have to think of when you're a merchant that takes payment this way.
Sure. What I would say to that is, we sit in a very sweet spot when it comes to the payments industry. It helps to be partnered with the likes of WorldPay. I can say that in order to get them on board, it took over 1,000 emails and a lot of going back and forth with their attorneys. And you may not know, but WorldPay has some of the top attorneys in the payments industry. So, to be able to have them give the thumbs up because we're utilizing this as a form of payment only, to disseminate those transactions at scale. They saw it as a viable option. And also, we now have Brian Brooks as the head of the Office of the Comptroller here in the United States, which just last week he gave banks the permission to custody digital assets. And I think we're going to continue to see regulations as a whole in America starting to loosen. And I think a lot of that has to do with the pandemic that has kind of set the economy back. And so now they need new ways to create leverage and opportunities for investment. And so the only way to do that doesn't look like the traditional markets is cryptocurrency. And so I've talked to regulators. I've actually shown them the technology firsthand, and I asked them the tough questions of are we going to have any issues with distributing this technology here in America? And they said absolutely not. And what I love about Pundi X as well is they go above and beyond to make sure that everything is compliant. To the tune of every merchant has to KYC when they buy this technology from us, and
just
all
to
of the
explain,
users.
Because we do have people who are very, very new to this. KYC means know your customer, which means when you are somebody who's buying, selling, or crypto on exchanges or payment systems like this, you have to present some sort of ID, driver's license, identification,
Yes,
social security, not necessarily just to pay for things, but if you're on maybe exchanges and stuff like that, because they're trying to, everybody's trying to be on the up and up on the regulations and stuff like that. So I apologize. I don't want anybody to ever feel left out when they're listening to this stuff.
No. I appreciate
so overwhelming.
that. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's kind of where we are, same thing with the mobile application, every X wallet user has to go through KYC, and that Pundi X has selected the top leaders in doing AML and KYC compliance. And kudos to Mr. David Benkei, former UCLA graduate. He was also the general counsel attorney for Microsoft China. He's the GC for Pundi X now. So they take take compliance very seriously around the world.
You brought up something that really has to be divided. Bill, I think we may have talked about this or not, but you brought up the fact that the courts ruled, or the banks have decided that the courts ruled that the banks were allowed to custody digital currencies for customers. And for me, my first, I know I saw a lot of people on crypto Twitter and social media who are, everyone's fighting for mass adoption. But the first thought that I had was, wait a minute, that goes against everything that this is about. Bitcoin is about decentralization. Blockchain is about decentralization. It's about distributing the power to everybody in the system, who's in the ledger, who's transacting in the ledger, who's doing smart contracts in the ledger. And then now you're asking a bank to custody your technology that was meant to kind of get rid of them. And to me, my first thought was, yeah, that's all great until, the IRS decides to freeze your accounts in the bank, and that includes your cryptocurrency, and therefore defeating the entire purpose of the whole thing to begin with. There are people who are totally excited about that news, and then there are people like me who are like, whoa, I don't know if I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely rest with you on that, right? Classic old school statement of in crypto and blockchain is that not your keys, not your crypto. And so
explain to everybody what that means, because if you're getting into crypto, you're going to hear this a lot. Not your keys, not your coin.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is unlike traditional markets to where, you just utilize the US dollar, and truly, if we want to get technical about it, we don't own the US dollar, even though we earn it, right, through various means. It's not our currency. It's regulated by the Federal Reserve and the United States government, right? With cryptocurrency, when you purchase cryptocurrency, the best way to custody means hold that currency is in a form of a private, decentralized wallet. And what that does is no different than going to a car dealership, finding that nice new sexy car that you've always wanted, buying it, right? And then you take delivery of the car. And that taking delivery of the car is similar to having a private key wallet that has, in a lot of ways, 12 to 20 word phrases that you write down in two different places, right? And you save that information in a very secure manner in a safe. Maybe a family member has a second copy in the safe, but you also want to make sure that you have those private keys, because when you have those passcodes, if something happens to your computer or the device that's holding your cryptocurrency, as long as you have those passcodes, you can buy a new device or log in through the internet and still have access to that cryptocurrency. That is what private keys do. It literally gives you title ownership of your crypto.
And that also helps define when people say, be your own bank. That's another thing you hear in the cryptocurrency world. So now you can kind of see how, in a way, when you take custody of your digital currency on these external devices, that you are essentially, in a way, your own bank there. You've got it separate from any kind of centralized entity, and you have it on you. And you're right; those phrases that you get when you take custody of your digital assets onto a device, it's like your PIN number, except it's a really long
Absolutely.
PIN number and you
It's
got to
really
write
long.
it down. It's a really long one.
Mhm.
Unless you have an excellent memory and you'll remember it forever. Sometimes the password is 12 words. Sometimes it's 24 words. So, it's kind of I feel like a rudimentary system right now. Maybe in time that'll get better, but that's what it is right now.
Well, but so to your sort of to counter your point, Elsa, I mean, you're talking about mass adoption and, that maybe banks custodying private keys runs against the sort of heart of the crypto, sort of community. But for mass adoption, we really need people to be sort of unaware of private keys in a way, and something they want to be able to transact like they do now. They don't think a lot about the bank or anything. They just, let me just give you my card and get my stuff and go. And, I think Dee's on the forefront of trying to make that happen. And that's the point where people are using and transacting and not really having to consider much about keys and the like. And so I think in order to have the mass adoption of cryptos, you almost have to have, I think there's a lot of people that don't want to maintain their own private keys. Personally, I don't have a lot of wealth in crypto, but what I'm saying is that if I did, I'm kind of scared of it, quite honestly. So I'm kind of on both sides of the fence there, but for Dee, I've got a question about, what you guys are up to, and since we're talking about, I think you want nothing more than mass adoption because that volume drives your business, but what's the real value proposition for both, first, the merchant? Like, why does a merchant want to take crypto? And then why does a person want to transact in it? And where is that going to happen? Because it's not going to happen in the United States first, I think. It's got to be some other smaller country where it's needed. But, kind of tell me about that.
You'd be surprised. But the benefits of transacting in crypto solves a huge pain point in the payments industry. And what I'm talking about is chargebacks, right? A lot of merchants have to battle with third-party entities because people come in the store, they'll buy their product, and then they'll get on the phone shortly after and say, hey, I didn't authorize this transaction, right? When you accept cryptocurrency and you're utilizing cryptocurrency, there's no operator to call. Once that transaction is sent, it's over. It's final, and so that gives merchants and retailers a real sense of security, knowing that, hey, if I do this transaction in cryptocurrency, I don't have to lose any sleep at night worrying about, okay, what is my chargeback percentage for the month? This is a real issue, and even in today's markets where we're dealing with this pandemic, those chargebacks have increased. And so, that's just another checkpoint and hooray for cryptocurrencies, because we solve a huge pain point in doing payments and transactions.
Right. And I would assume also, I know merchants personally who say, man, I'm already on a thin margin, and if I can save 2-3% on my transaction, that's, more money in my pocket. So now what about the person that would want to use crypto to transact? The average person, what's their value proposition?
Their value proposition is, merchants will, just like any type of new marketing scheme or program, hey, come and use cryptocurrency in our stores and we'll give you X amount of percentage off of your purchase. And so that really socializes the community to begin the process of utilizing cryptocurrencies instead of using regular payments. That you can build rewards programs around utilizing this stuff. These cards can be utilized in a scheme of gift cards. We're giving a free gift card away, and this is loaded with cryptocurrency. By the way, this is a wallet. This is literally a wallet. And so, those types of things those are the types of things that we see happening with this technology.
Okay. So, that certainly to me looks like a transaction that, we're accustomed to here in the United States. Where is it where are you seeing in the rest of the world where, maybe it's developing society, culture or developing nation where the people on the street are faced with maybe a shortage of their currency or, they just are looking for options. Like they're almost their hands are tied. They can't even transact. Where are you seeing this today starting to take hold?
Brazil, Argentina, basically Latin America is the hugest market that we're in right now. And, shout out to MakerDAO, with the DAI partnership, we've seen a huge uptick in usage because DAI is a stable coin that's backed by Ethereum, which is much better than just, a regularly pegged stable coin. So there's a huge demand for DAI in Latin America, and we as a payment system can deliver that seamlessly to both merchants and retailers. And we've seen a lot of that activity start to pick up there.
Why do you think they're leaning towards using that currency as opposed to others?
You're talking about extreme hyperinflation environments there in Latin America. Just to kind of give you an idea, in Venezuela, the Venezuelan bolivar has lost nearly 10,000% of its value just last year.
Right. No, I think we're all so many people are I guess aware of that. But you mentioned MakerDAO, like why that cryptocurrency over like Ethereum or
because it's literally a stable coin. It's literally a stable coin. And so, they don't have to worry about price volatility dealing with the stable coin versus using Bitcoin or Ethereum in those environments. Yeah.
So that brings up a great point about volatility or the lack thereof and how important that is to people just on the, Main Street level.
Yeah, it does. And that's why our system with the XPOS system, it protects the merchants. So when you set up an account with the XPOS, you hold your value of dollars. Let's say you have $1,000 worth of crypto loaded on the XPOS. It stays in stable coin, and you can choose between MakerDAO's DAI, which is my personal one that I use, or you can use USD Tether. And so by holding it in stable coin, it insulates the merchants and retailers from price volatility. And so, and it also offers the community that the merchant or retailer is selling to the opportunity to use stable coins unless the customer wants to buy Bitcoin for value's sake or what have you.
And then what's this XPass card? How are you getting people to pick up and start using that?
Well, the good thing about the XPass card, like I said, it is the digital wallet, and you can load 20 different cryptocurrencies on those cards, and it interacts with the mobile app called X Wallet. Those cards are literally customizable to any make, look, or feel that you want as a retail business. So you can have your own branding with that card in your store. And it's just an extension of your brand at that point. And so it really drives customers to utilize it. And like I said, there are many ways to create marketing directives to drive sales of those cards and also the usage of the cards.
Okay, so if that doesn't drive some mass adoption, I don't know what will, but it's certainly a very big step in the right direction. I just,
thank you.
I know people though that, and you see here in America, we feel like, hey, we've got our banks, our money's in the bank, we have our debit cards, we have our credit cards. I'm fine. This whole crypto thing's kind of foreign to me. It scares me. I don't like this idea that, it's kind of floating out there on the internet. And, there are all these questions that people, who've had the luxury of being banked might be legitimately concerned about. But
sure.
The way I try to explain it is, well, when you're using your debit cards and credit cards, are you actually physically handing over the money? You swipe your card, you type in your PIN or whatever, you sign, and that's it. you don't see the dollars, magically fly in front of you over to the register of the cashier.
Right.
So,
right.
I try to explain it that way. How are some of the ways you try to explain to people that they might want to give this a try?
Might be a little controversial, but I'm a big fan of owning your stuff. This is an unpopular opinion for a lot of people in America because we've been hypnotized with the U.S. dollar. We don't own that dollar. We do not own that dollar, and it can be confiscated. It can be frozen, especially now that they've removed the element of paper cash, where the paper cash element is literally eroding right before our eyes. So
can't even get a quarter right now.
Yeah,
you can't get coins anymore.
So do I trust? And here's the controversy: do I trust the United States government to act fair on my behalf when it comes to the United States dollar? I don't. They don't have a good track record in that department,
That's a whole other show. But I agree.
To stay on point, there's nothing like ownership, right? That's the bedrock of the American dream. When you own your stuff, and cryptocurrency, for the first time, probably in 100+ years, gives Americans and the world the title to ownership of currency. Before this is absolutely unheard of in our lifetime.
So I think that sums that up beautifully, in my opinion. Think about that. You're the owner. You have the power. Right now, the banks and the Federal Reserve are the owners of the currency and have the power. Now you ask yourself, why would they be fighting so hard for me to not own my currency?
There you go.
I'll let you, the viewer, the listener, explore that. But there's something, to make you go,
That's that Arsenio Hall moment right there.
That right. Yeah, there you go. I mean, there are a lot of, it is though, but there are a lot of ways people have their aha moment. There are different elements of this world that people resonate with, or that resonates with them. But that one right there, I think, is a good argument for people at least to start exploring it for themselves and doing their own research.
Yeah. And another, to really drive the nail home, in the last 100 years, the U.S. dollar has lost value year over year. And that's due to the Fed Reserve printing at levels we've never seen before. So the more that the Federal Reserve prints money, the less purchasing power the U.S. dollar has, right? Cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, don't have them problems because the code limits the amount of circulating supply of Bitcoin, and so does many other cryptocurrencies. And so here lies the difference. Does my value fluctuate in contrast to the US dollar? Not as much. And that's why you see other countries outside of the US flock to cryptocurrencies and use that for transaction's sake versus using the local currency, because the hyperinflation far surpasses what the volatility is happening in cryptocurrency. These are just pure facts.
Boom. I personally happen to agree with you. People will come to their own conclusions, but yes. So imagine, you've got a big giant entity over here and you're a little guy. Right. It's like the David and Goliath situation.
Great analogy.
Then you set up your own little thing and people start transacting with this other currency, and then they get stronger and stronger and stronger. And in the meantime, the Goliath starts losing power, and there's the struggle.
There's the struggle. And so, that's just my take on it. And this is what I share with a lot of people. America is known for ownership, of land, of our own food, of water, own resources. It's only in the modern era that's kind of slipped away from us. But those are truly the underpinnings of freedom. And so we need to go back to those whales, if you will, of title ownership, especially when it comes to currency. So, okay, I'm off my high horse now.
No. This is why we bring people on here, because we like to get people's different opinions on what really resonated with you to help you spread the message if it's one you believe in.
Where can people find you?
On Twitter, Bitcoin Kingdom. You can find me there. I'm mostly there. On Instagram, I'm on Instagram. You can find me there. And on LinkedIn, just look up Dee Duncan. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Those are the platforms that I use mostly. And
this will all be in our show notes. But we've been showing on the screen here as we live stream that you've got this website, BTCKing.us.
BTCKing.us. Yeah.
Okay.
And Elsa, because of my relationship with WorldPay, you can actually buy cryptocurrency from our website.
Oh, okay. So people can just go to the website and, say I'm somebody who has no clue, never bought crypto, Bitcoin, anything. I go to your website. What do I do?
You click on the buy cryptocurrency tab. Can't be in a what is it called? Brave browser, just a regular browser.
I'm in Brave. I'm into privacy, so I'm using Brave, man.
I use Brave. But if you're not for everything.
I do too. But if you go there, you literally put it does KYC you, and you put the amount of crypto that you want, and you provide the wallet that you want the crypto to be sent to. Hint, hint. Your keys, your crypto.
Yes.
Right. And it's delivered into your wallet, and it's very easy to do.
So wait, do you have to have your own digital wallet before you buy the crypto? Okay. So
I would recommend.
Yeah, before you go to the website here and buy, you want to set up your own digital wallet. So you can do your research on that. You'll basically get a QR code, right, for your digital wallet. And then for what you buy on your website, make them talk to each other, and that money or currency flows over to your little external digital wallet, or if it's on your phone, card, whatever way you decide to hold it.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right. Well, Dee, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And I really love your takes on how you view currency, because I personally, I feel like once people understand that, the way you summed it up, then the light bulb goes off and they go, okay, all right, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Hopefully we've done that with a few people with this podcast, for them to be able to start asking some questions and checking it out for themselves.
I would say thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. And I literally travel all over the world. I meet with enterprises, I meet with governments, talking about this issue. And so this is just really the heartbeat and pulse of what I'm all about, is helping people to understand the importance of ownership when it comes to currency. Elsa, I extend to you a public invitation. Whenever this COVID-19 thing passes and the State Department says we can fly, you are welcome to travel with me to West Africa and see how blockchains is being utilized in Africa.
That Bill and I have been dreaming about that for a while, and we had hoped to be able to do that this year, because you and I, Dee, have talked about before on our phone conversations how exciting it is, or it would be, to go to countries in Africa and see what's being built there. So we will take you up on that invitation. Would love to.
Yeah. Aside from, this podcast is an extension of the show we're trying to put together for Elsa called Adventures in Crypto, which can be found at adventuresincrypto.tv. We've got some footage there that can preview things, but Africa has been like foremost on our list of places to go, because we foresee that's where the people will need this more than ever, more than probably anywhere else in the world. So we're there, man. I mean, I hope you were inviting me too. I don't know. Maybe you just want Elsa.
Oh yeah.
You have to. The crew's got to come because we got a story on.
Yeah. Can you tote some cases for us, Dee? Because we're gonna have a lot of gear. We're all gonna.
I'll do whatever carry a backpack.
Yes. Once we can travel again, it'll be very exciting. But in the meantime, this is how we're keeping the conversation going and learning and continuing to learn and discuss while we are waiting out this COVID crisis here in the world. So hopefully by the end of the year, beginning of next year, we can pack our bags and get back on the road again. And I really look forward to taking that journey with you, Dee. That would be great.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we know. I've been blessed to know the leaders there in that part of the world in West Africa that are really building real stuff, real solutions. So be happy to make the introduction for you guys. And another thing that I wanted to say, I'm so glad to have people like Elsa Ramon that comes from a professional background, right? I've seen you on television when I lived in Orange County, okay? I've seen you. So to see you doing things in cryptocurrency and blockchain, Bills, you as well. Thank you to your whole team for coming into this environment and bringing real awareness and driving real sharp conversations and dialogue around this technology. We need more people like yourself and your team to do these types of things. And that too plays a huge part of cryptocurrency and blockchain awareness and expansion and adoption around the world, to have those type of platforms. So thank you guys so much for doing what you do.
I'm lucky to have found it. I think we both feel pretty lucky to have found this world. I don't know how normal I am, but I'm going to try to normalize it as much as I can.
Great.
Dee?
We both know I'm not normal, so.
Yeah, I already know that. But thank you again, Dee. You have a fantastic day.
You too, guys, and much love to everybody. Please be safe out there, and thank you again for the opportunity.
Of course. Take care, Dee.
Bye-bye.
Man, I love Dee's passion and enthusiasm. It's so contagious. I cannot wait to go to West Africa to see what's going on over there as soon as this global lockdown is over, which is hopefully soon. And if you could, help us out. We want this show to get some traction on all the podcast platforms because, well, we're on all of them. Apple, Google, Spotify, you name it. You can really help us get heard by rating us and giving us a review on whatever platform you're using. We are really just starting, so you really, really would be helping us out. Plus, that'll help us know how we're doing. Let us know how we're doing by hitting us up at info@adventuresincrypto.tv. Or you can always find me on Twitter at Elsa Ramon on air or LinkedIn at Elsa Ramon. I want to thank Malto Marketing and Productions for sponsoring and producing this show. They do such a great job. Their team is located around the world, literally, but you can find them at moltomarketing.com. That's MOLTO marketing.com. This is a live Q&A discussion about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, tokens, projects, investments, and technology. All discussions are strictly the opinions of each speaker. Statements made by guests are not necessarily the opinion of the host and producers. Investments in Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, tokens, and even stocks are speculative and risky. The information contained herein is for informational purposes only. We are not financial advisors nor registered investment advisors, and all of our content is intended for general information purposes. You must do your own due diligence before investing in anything, especially anything related to cryptocurrencies and tokens. Investments always carry risk. Never risk more of anything than you're willing to lose.
So what about crypto?